A midnight hour in the ancient Jewish cemetery in Damascus. Unknown individuals break through the main gate and start digging a deep hole beside the tomb of Rabbi Chaim Vital, a revered 16th century Jewish rabbi and mystic. The police open an investigation, and the tiny Jewish community in Damascus is alarmed by the desecration. The event itself is regrettable, to be sure, but when I saw this headline on the news about a month ago, I was rather excited. After all, in my field of research, Kabbalah or Jewish mysticism, the figures I study don't really make the news so often. So, what were the burglars after? What did they think Vital took with him to the grave? And why would they think that? To understand, we need to know a little better who Rabbi Chaim Vital was. Vital, who lived and operated in Tzfat, Jerusalem, and Damascus, was a prominent figure in the history of Kabbalah. Similar to other religions, Judaism developed a tradition of hidden knowledge that explores profound and complicated questions. For example, what is the nature of divinity? What is humankind's role and purpose in the cosmos? What's the nature of the soul after death? Interesting questions, aren't they? Won't we all like to know the answer? If so, why keep it a secret? In fact, why do we keep secrets at all? Well, for various reasons. The one who holds a secret gains power and influence over others. Think about the power gained by holding a commercial secret or a technological one. Keeping secrets also generates social exclusivity and a sense of mystery. Private parties or exclusive social events come to mind. And, perhaps most importantly, keeping a secret helps us gain control over knowledge so that it won't fall into the wrong hands. When misused, secret knowledge can prove to be pretty dangerous, as demonstrated by the secrets of the atom. All right then, but how to keep a secret? Let's imagine the knowledge held by the Kabbalists as a secret path that branches off the main road. If we want this path to remain hidden, we need to balance two sides. On the one hand, the secret path needs people to walk on it. If no one will, it will be filled with vegetation and ultimately cease to remain a path. Just like if no one knows about the secret, it would die with its last knower. On the other hand, if too many people would walk on this path, it's no longer a secret path. Just like if too many people will know the secret, it's no longer a secret. This dynamic of keeping a secret leads me to one of the central questions I ask in my research. What are the mechanisms that help mystics keep their knowledge secret? To understand the dynamics of how secrets are passed down, I examine a series of texts that follow a clear line of transmission within the Kabbalistic tradition, from master to disciple onto the next generation of students. The intergenerational approach that I take helps me understand what shapes the way secret knowledge is shared over time, and it also sheds light on how the means of transmission influence and shape the meaning and interpretation of the Kabbalistic secrets. Now, let's look closer on secret transmission in the tradition of Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, the focus of my research. Luria, the originator of arguably the most important Kabbalistic school in modern history, had a strategy. He delivered his teachings only orally and didn't write them, and only to a close group of chosen disciples. After his death, his untimely death, in fact, his disciples met a dilemma. Should we let the secret die with the master? Now, let's come back to Vital, our hero from the grave, who happened to be Luria's closest disciple. Struck with grief after his master's passing, he understood that Luria's teachings, known today as Luriani Kabbalah, must be written down. He compiled them into his monumental work, the Etz Chaim, the Tree of Life, yet he fiercely guarded the manuscript. He refused to disseminate it, and also signed the other students of Luria not to teach their own versions of his Torah. Yet, things got a bit out of control. The demand for the new mystical teachings was high, and very soon other versions started to circulate, despite Vital's efforts. How could the balance of secret be kept in these conditions? Vital found another way of doing so, which he described in his fascinating personal diary. I'll read the Hebrew, and English speakers can follow the translation. אמר לי שלא היה מוטל עליו ללמד לשום אדם זולתי אני לבדי. ואמר לי שזהר מאוד מאוד, שלא יגלה עניינו של השגתו וידיעתו לבני אדם, לפי שהוא לא בא רק לתקן אותי בלבד, ואחר כך על ידי יתוקנו אחרים. Vital is saying that Luria came to this world to teach him alone. Therefore, it is only through Vital himself that these teachings could be taught to others. In other words, Vital's sophisticated mechanism in keeping the secret is by making it personal. He's the only one authorized to write and transmit the teachings. He had a special soul bond with his master, and he filled his writings with such claims. Other versions are simply illegal copies to be disregarded. After Vital's death, his own students, most prominently his son, Rabbi Shmuel, faced a similar problem. Should we let the secret die with a person? In fact, the dilemma became even riskier now. If Vital's own version of Luriani Kabbalah won't be introduced to the growing public of demanders, all we're going to be left with are the illegal copies that distort the original meaning. On the one hand, the father's will must be respected. Yet on the other, keeping the knowledge only within Vital's small circle comes at a great cost. What could the son do? To understand what happened, I'd like to tell you a story about an entirely different family, from Emek Hefer, here in modern-day Israel. It's not a story about secret mystical teachings, but about the secrets of baking. Meet Yankale, a baker from the kibbutz. Yankale had a special recipe for babka, also known as ugat shmarim, passed down from his ancestors in Eastern Europe, a recipe that he kept in secret. For years, the beloved cake was known as Yankale's cake, and no one could taste it without thinking of him. After he passed away, only his children knew the recipe, passed down orally. They didn't dare write it down. The grandchildren, however, had a different idea. They decided the whole kibbutz should know how to make the cake. So they wrote the recipe on Grandpa's gravestone. Now, how would you think of the grandchildren's deed? Is that a foul treachery or a heroic act in order to save Grandpa's recipe from oblivion? Anyway, that is very much similar to what happened in Vital's own family. I refer to this act as disloyal loyalty. After Vital's death, his son Shmuel took a significant step in freeing the writings from his father's hold. In his own words, אמרתי אני אל ליבי, עד מתי יהיה ספר אבא מורי ורבי ז"ל גנוזים תחת ידי, ואני ובני ביתי נעבוד את השם, ואין לזולתי חלק בהם. וכעת, העיר השם את רוחי, וסידרתי השמונה שערים בדרכים אחרים, כדי להיות נקל מאוד בפי הקורא בהם, ומובטח אני בחסד עליון, שבאמצעות המלאכה הזאת, תמלא הארץ דעה את השם. Shmuel is saying that his father's magnum opus, the Etz Chaim, can no longer remain in private family inheritance. He's on a godly mission to edit and rearrange the manuscript to make it accessible to others. While rearrangement may appear rather innocent perhaps, a closer examination of this editing work reveals a deliberate strategy. Where Vital emphasized his personal authority, his son systematically removed or deleted such claims from his own edition of the Etz Chaim. But Vital's son did not open the gates entirely. How did he keep the secret then? Well, he decided not to print the text. At a time where print technology was celebrated everywhere and other Kabbalistic works were widely printed, Shmuel encouraged what I refer to as a manuscript culture in the age of print. Text shared and studied in small circles of expert Kabbalists. Thus, he managed to make the writings more accessible, but its dissemination not completely uncontrolled. Today, though, we live in an entirely different world. Luriani Kabbalah is now to be found in almost every Jewish holy bookstore. Everyone could get their own copy. Ask Madonna. So, is our era the end of secrecy? Is there a place for the secret in the age of information? On this question, Rabbi Israel Baal Shem Tov, the great Jewish mystic from Eastern Europe, reportedly said, הלא כל מי שרוצה ללמוד, הספר פתוח לפניו ואינו נסתר. אלא העניין הנסתרות שבספר, הכל בנויים על פי הדבקות האלוהית. While I can get the printed book rather easily perhaps, this isn't what secrecy is about. It's about understanding the text, not only intellectually, but mainly through inspiration, that for the Baal Shem Tov at least, is achieved through dvekut, cleaving to God through one's devotion and passion in divine service. Without the right attitude, so to speak, even if I have the book, even if I read it, its secrets won't open up for me. They remain inaccessible. So, at the end of the day, are Luria's teachings still secret today or not? Are they accessible or not? Perhaps the best proof that they're still secret in some way is that a month ago, 400 years after his passing, unknown individuals broke through the main gate of the cemetery, entered the tomb of Rabbi Chaim Vital, and tried to find out more. Thank you.